Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Super Deluxe Gamescast. It is Thursday, February 3rd. Excuse me. And before we go any further, before we start, I've got a really cool update on the SDGC merch front. If you check out the link right there, same merch, but we've got a ton of new colors available for our shirts. And so I myself am partial to the, if you look at the SDGC logo shirt, I like the light pink and the midnight navy are really good. We also have indigo and berry, and we also have new colors available in the SDGC women's fit shirts. Not just purple, which of course is the podcast color, but we've also got turquoise, teal, light pink, and Kelly green. Check out that Kelly green and tell me that doesn't look fucking awesome.
This is really compelling podcast content.
Do we have,
and of course,
aquamarine?
all the proceeds from all of our shirts go towards. What's that?
Do we have aquamarine?
We've lost John.
We lost John. Okay, whatever.
Oh, I'm here. Okay. That was weird. Like, our Discord closed and then opened back up on its own. I think there's a ghost in the fucking.
This is the harbinger of things to come tonight.
This is truly compelling audio content, folks.
Hey, I'm just like,
buy our shit, donate to good charities.
I'm just letting you know, all these proceeds go towards Black
Brit saved it.
Absolutely, you're fucking right. It's compelling audio content. Don't ever let anybody tell you otherwise. So, people are Dumpson in chat, huh? Oh, that God. All right, Dumpson is a whole ass thing. What's that? It's Dumpson in chat all over the place. Just Dumpson. Hope everybody's doing okay this week. We got a lot to talk about this week. Been kind of an interesting week. So we had a big new release last week. Of course, Pokemon Legends Arceus released. I hate saying Arceus because I've always said Arceus, and I hate saying Arceus.
To me, it looks like Arceus, but it's actually Arceus.
Arceus, but like I feel like the general consensus is that most people actually pronounced it Arceus. I pronounced it Arceus ever since I first saw the word.
What's funny is I'm pretty sure it's Arceus in the Japanese pronunciation.
It's like having to say Mako in Final Fantasy VII. You know it's Mako. You want to say Mako. You grew up your whole life playing that game saying Mako, and then all of a sudden Square Enix tells you, no, it's Mako. It's Mako. Well,
I think we had this exact same conversation.
I don't want to relive it
verbatim.
Yeah, and you know what? It still pisses me off. Okay, so just whatever. Anyway, like I said, we do have a lot to talk about. Of course, Pokemon Arceus dropped last week, and then this week, Sony bought Bungie.
Acquisitions.
Love talking about acquisitions. But as always, first we are going to talk about what we have been playing. And I'm going to be quick, so I'll go first. Last week was the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII, so I am replaying the original for like the billionth time. But I'm playing it for the first time in a long time on original hardware on a CRT. Right here on my desk, as Nomura originally intended. God, I got to tell you, there's something so cool. But like, I play Final Fantasy VII, the original, like every year. But it's been over 15 years since I've played this.
I don't know,
on a CRT on original hardware. Like I can't even remember how long it's been. It's fucking great. I'm having such a great time. Bringing back a lot of happy memories of my first time playing that game when I was 16, 17 years old. It's fucking outstanding. I'm having a really good time. It makes me really happy. And I'm also replaying the original Resident Evil 2 on my Vita this time. But
that's interesting. Why Resident Evil 2?
Until with the Final Fantasy 16 Pixel Remaster is going to drop next month along with Elden Ring, and those are going to be my two focus. Those games are going to be my focus for a bit. So I'm kind of in between games right now, and I'm just replaying games that I love for no other reason than I love them. Yeah, so there it is. Yeah, see, I told you I was quick and easy. That's it always is for me.
Can I go next?
Brittany, you can, Derek. Actually, go ahead.
Yes, I was going to say, because I've also been playing a game that John loves. So I finally really started to play God of War. Yes.
Oh, Britt, you're gonna love this.
And I beat God of War.
Oh, so you're playing the PC? Are you playing the PC release?
I got the PC release, and I was like, I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna really get into this. And I didn't get very far in it the first time I picked it up. I don't even know why I fell off it. It just kind of fell off my radar for a bit. And I'm just not a huge fan of like the PS2 God of War games. I played 1, 2, and 3, but like, you know, because they were character action games that were available at the time, but I don't really like them. But God of War, this sort of reboot reinvention, I've now come to deeply love and respect.
It's so good.
The fact that they actually want to use kind of the stupid, shitty, Limp Bizkity backstory and fucking like aesthetic of God of War to be like, yeah, Kratos was shitty and he's haunted by that and he's kind of trying to grow and move past that and break that cycle and also
reinstill the shit that he did, like to reinstill the values that he didn't have into his son.
Yes, the kind of reinvention and kind of fresh take on Norse mythology, which is at once like very classic, but also like a light deconstruction in a way that like almost reminds me of like Everworld in a way, which there's kind of a weird kind of throwback. But yeah, I really liked it. Like combat's fine. It's a fun game to play, but I was really pulled through by the writing, by the scenario work, by trying to figure out where it was going to go next. I called several of the biggest twists. I'm not going to spoil anything because I know there's a lot of people who still haven't played it, but I called several of the biggest twists.
Derek
I called John
me
when I figured out the big one. I was like, I know what's going on.
You got to tell me about it afterwards.
I will.
Derek called me. I want to hear it.
Yeah,
Derek called me. He was like, John, I know my Norse mythology, and this is exactly what's going on.
Yep.
And I was like, do you want me to confirm
At a certain point, I figured out the entire rest of the game just based on my memory of Norse mythology.
He did.
I worked it out. But yeah, so I really like God of War, and I'm really looking forward to Ragnarok now. And I'm really looking forward to what they may do in the future because they dropped major hints that there is not just Egyptian mythology, which they hinted at very strongly, obviously, but that
the comic series that was running last year was set in Kratos going through Egypt on his way up to Norse lands.
Yeah, like they make it clear that that's probably where they're going next, but also there were clear drops and hints at like Japanese Shinto and Celtic, with Mimir clearly being Puck from Celtic mythology. So being one of the
so
fairies.
Good. He's such a good character.
I love him. How good!
I just got
straight out of A Midsummer Night's Dream. I love it.
Just like some of the best parts of that game have nothing to do with what you're doing. Just simply listening to him talk while you're riding along in your little boat. Like he is like such a powerful. Like you learn about the Valkyries. Like you learn like. Half of the story, like God of War has a solid main story, but it's like side stories, the ones that Mimir tell and the ones that you read. I
actually did all the side stories, and I don't do that in these types of games. I fought all the Valkyries. I beat Sigrun. I fucking hated it, but I beat Sigrun. Like it was excellent.
That's where I drew the line. I couldn't do it.
She's so hard.
She's so fucking hard.
I fought her, and she just like shredded me like paper, and I took that shit personally.
Yeah.
So.
Justin mentioned Kratos passing through Egypt to get to Norway, and I just had this mental picture of Kratos just spinning through Egypt, and the entirety of the Egyptian pantheon is just like, shut the fuck up, nobody say anything, just let him go, let him walk, like nobody fuck with him.
I haven't read the comics. I heard they're not great, but yeah, that is what the comic takes place during.
It'll be interesting if they go there next, because the Egyptian pantheon of gods is not really defined around good and evil. Like there's really no concepts of that. It's very like order versus chaos, with like that being a value neutral judgment in most ways, if I remember correctly. So that'll be kind of interesting to see play out. But yeah, no. So I played God of War. I played the shit out of it. I put almost every other game down to burn through it. It's actually why I haven't gotten very far in Pokemon, as I needed to finish God of War. And
gotten very far in Pokemon either.
Yeah, and I loved it. I loved it tremendously, and I'm here.
If you really liked it, and I recommend this to anybody who has played God of War who has not seen this, watching Raising Kratos. Very fucking good.
We'll do. Send me a link.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. It's like a 2 hour long making of documentary, and like
I'm here for overly long YouTube bullshit.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's professionally made. It's actually made by Santa Monica Studio.
Even
and
better.
They actually are pretty frank about like overwork and crunch and stuff at points and things like that. It's a really, really great documentary. I mean, honestly, anybody I think is interested in game development and stuff should check that documentary out. It's great.
I watch
goes
no clip
into,
stuff. I'm in.
Yeah, it goes into like the like Christopher Judge and the actor that played Atreus and Freya. Like, it kind of like he talks about where he pulled from for certain scenes for Kratos, and it's all very emotional. Like, you know, it's an emotional game. You watch this thinking it'll be cool to like learn some information, but you also like there's some pretty emotional moments in there, and they also talk about the making of the iconic theme. Like Kratos' theme, so good.
I fully understand now all of the mimetic jokes around Christopher Judge's voice for Kratos. Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Like,
I posted the link to it in chat if anybody wants to check it out.
Yeah, it's hands down. I think it's going to be my favorite game of this generation, and I'm super excited.
And it's a wonderful PC port, by the way. It's a very good PC port.
For
those of you who are PC gamers but do not have a PS4 or just for whatever reason, like, pick it up. It's a great PC port. A bunch of new people being introduced to it, and I think that's excellent. I love when exclusives stop being exclusive.
Right, and it's a great game to hop into the series. I never played the previous God of Wars. I knew all about them. Even like there's a part, I would say towards the middle end of the game, where you go back and you do something, and it has significant impact if you're aware of like of any kind of the past, but you don't need to play it to feel it. Like it's such a strong moment, and it's just a wonderful game. If you haven't played it, I'd recommend go playing it. It's so good.
All right, why don't we go ahead and Jeff, what you been playing, bud? Tell us about your flights through the skies of Australia.
10-hour flight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to talk. Like, there's nothing to say. Yeah, I haven't been playing much.
I'm always interested in what you have to say, Jeff, even if you don't think it is.
Okay, so the 10-hour flight in Flight Simulator, I just put it on autopilot for 10 hours so I get an achievement. So, like, I don't know.
But was it pretty? Was it worth it?
Yeah, sure. No, I don't know. I just haven't been playing much. Kind of. There's only 2 games I was looking forward to this year, and the Life is Strange remasters apparently are pretty shitty.
Are they really?
Yeah. So I'm not one to trust Steam reviews. I give them quite a bit of stink eye. But I was doing a little bit of digging, and I guess I haven't played it, so like I don't know if it's just a PC issue, but I guess because the character models weren't originally designed to work with mocap, there's some really weird like buggy animations where like their mouths come up and their gums are funky and their teeth are really yellowed or their eyes just bug out.
Oh no!
There's subtitle bugs where like a single subtitle will just get stuck on the screen until you reload. Or my favorite is there was a couple screenshots where it was almost like a PowerShell code variable made its way there, where it was like they had like a response that was like Joyce _ surprised _2. But that was showing what her name should be, and then it had the dialogue line after that. So just like I don't know. This is just anecdotal based on some reviews, but I just heard in general, it's 30 FPS on PS5 and stuff, I guess, because there's no next-gen version. And when I heard they were doing no next-gen version, I assumed it was like Mass Effect. It's already 4K 60. There's just no need to do a native one. But no, apparently, and it's weird because like True Colors launched at 30 FPS as well. So.
An addendum to that, Jeff, it's being patched to 60 frames a second. I just saw it.
Okay, well that's cool. So I don't know, just. Like I already
own
the originals, I already played them. It just doesn't sound like there's any. These don't sound like a significant improvement, so that's too bad.
This has absolutely nothing to do with like what you just said. It just like relates to Life is Strange. Square Enix posted like a comparison of like here's the old graphics and here's the new graphics, and they used the worst fucking character for that. They used Mr. Jefferson, and I was like, why would you not do like Chloe?
Yeah, so I'm just waiting for Gran Turismo, I guess. I was eating good with that.
They're trying to appeal to the audience of the kind of people who fight about graphics most online. Which is a lot of Mr. Jeffersons, to be clear.
And it's weird because it's like
I hope everyone is ready to.
Derek, I was like halfway through a thought, and then like I was thinking of my thought, and then your words just slowly slid right in and just pushed him away. So you know what? We'll leave it on that. You're right.
Jeff, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about, bud?
No, not really. Just waiting,
All right, Britt.
waiting for new games.
Go ahead, Britt.
I've been playing Final Fantasy 14, but I have been not really leveling or getting gear or anything. I have been decorating my free company house. So that's been cathartic. I love designing in games, which is why I love Sims so much. And so I've been doing that, and I'm playing a little bit of Pokemon. I'm not too far into it. I just haven't really had a chance to kind of like sit down and sink my teeth into it yet. And it hasn't hooked me like it has everybody else, and everybody loves it so much that I keep waiting for that moment, and it's like I'm fine with it right now. It's not anything super duper spectacular so far. The controls are it's a very different Pokemon game.
Yeah.
It's very like my biggest gripe, and like don't play Pokemon for its story, right? Like everybody knows that. But I feel like the setting and everything kind of like I feel like the setting is kind of like it's like a story. Like you want to learn more about the setting and like the past and where you're at, and it's just like it feels wonky, like and I'm gonna say this because it happens in literally the first cutscene of the game. Your character teleports from like
it's an isekai.
It's an isekai.
Yes, your character teleports from it's Inuyasha basically.
The only thing that's missing is you don't get hit by a bus first. That's
right. So your character essentially comes from the future into the past, and like
wait, what?
There's a professor there.
Yeah.
And he is like, hey, like, help me fill my Pokedex. And your character's just like, I bet. Like,
yeah, no, that's
not worried about how I'm going to get home, how I got here. Like, my phone is now like a Pokemon talking to me. Just point. Like, I'll help you fill your Pokedex. And I'm like, is nobody going to question this? Like, it's a little strange. So I think it's my little hang-ups.
There's almost no reason why your character should have come from the future or whatever. Like
exactly.
Jeff just put in chat exactly what I was thinking. He's like, Marty, we have to send you back.
No, apparently they don't care about sending you back. You fell out of a hole through the sky. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows you're weird. You're
the only person ever who can catch a Pokemon. Like
yeah. Right? Like, what the fuck's up with that? Like, wow, you caught a fucking Bidoof. Like, imagine a pinnacle of praise in that
the Michael
world.
Phelps of Pokemon. He caught a Bidoof.
You caught a large rodent running around.
Like, wow, you're so talented.
One that didn't even attempt to run. And yeah, we'll talk a lot about Pokemon.
We'll talk
later,
more about that later. I got a lot to say about this.
Yeah, but that's what I've been playing. 14 and a little bit of Pokemon.
And Justin, what about you, buddy?
So I've been in a weird kind of slump with games and stuff for a bit lately. Been trying to save up my money for the couple things I want to get coming out this month. I've been in a bit of a drought, but the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection came out for PS5, and it was only a $10 upgrade, and you get both games. So as long as you have either Uncharted 4 or Lost Legacy, you get the remasters of both games for $10. So I jumped in on that. Those have always been comfort food games for me, and I it's been a little bit since I replayed them last. So I actually just finished going through both of them back to back, and I really love it. It's a really great update. I played it in the performance mode, which is 1440p 60 FPS. It has a 4K 30 mode, and also if I don't have a TV to support it, so I couldn't try it out, but it does have a 1080p 120 FPS mode, which is actually really cool because Uncharted is not the kind of game I would expect to, do something like that. But yeah, so I just had a really good time playing through those again. The games really do kind of the combat especially really comes alive at the higher frame rates. It looks really great with the mocap, and cutscene direction that Naughty Dog has. But one thing I do want to mention is it's one of the few games that I think has done a really, really good job with like the 3D audio stuff that has been talked about on the PS5. I always use my headphones plugged into the controller, and some games, it works well. Some games it doesn't work great. But like in Lost Legacy, there's this item that you can get that it makes a sound when you're near a treasure. But how it works in like the remaster, like the treasure like resonates with the item, and you can actually like hear how high it is, how far away it is from you, and like the exact position of it based off of the sound and how it resonates, and it's really, really cool. So they're not hugely upgraded. There's some better textures and some improvements and stuff. It's mostly frame rate improvements and stuff, but I had a really good time revisiting those games. I really, really like those games. It's coming to PC eventually. They said, Naughty Dog did the PS5 update. Iron Galaxy's then taking that and updating it for PC. So it's a little weird to bring Uncharted 4 to PC since it's so much of a continuation of the previous games and stuff. But I hope people check them out if they haven't played those before.
Isn't the whole collection coming to PC, I thought?
No, just Legacy of
4?
Thieves.
Just Legacy of Thieves.
It's 4. The Legacy of Thieves is 4 and Lost Legacy.
Oh. Well, that's really... I thought it was all of them. That's stupid.
No, it's just...
Don't like that.
That's real stupid, y'all.
That's not nice.
But, yeah, so I had fun with those. I might pick up Sifu if I can afford it when that comes out next week. But mostly I'm just waiting for Horizon in a couple weeks.
I was going to say, Justin, yeah. Horizon's on the horizon.
No,
I need to play Horizon.
I'm waiting.
Justin,
I'm going to be messaging you about that
I'll play
as
Horizon,
I'm playing through it.
The first Horizon, just so that we can repeat this experience on a future podcast where I've finally played and beaten Horizon and can talk to you about it and make you happy.
Yeah. Well, I was happy to hear you played God of War because I remember when it got the 60 FPS patch on PS5, I just had booted it up just to check out the update and ended up playing through and doing everything all over again.
I think I own Horizon on PC even. I just need to do it.
You probably do.
Yeah.
You do. Horizon was my favorite PS4 game until God of War.
I'm looking at your Steam library. And I'm judging you.
He's finding the receipts.
Yeah.
So before we move into our first big topic, I want to throw something in chat here that somebody sent me on Twitter. Square Enix is releasing official Bring Arts figures for Final Fantasy Tactics, and they are gorgeous. Look at that link I just dropped in chat. Holy shit.
I really wish that they would re-release this on something so I could play it. Oh, wow, those are pretty.
Oh, they're so good.
Oh, they're so good. Also,
it's got to happen soon, right?
So, see, Derek, the thing is that somebody retweeted that and was like, yeah, that remaster's real.
Yeah, I mean, that remaster's coming.
And look at those Tactics figures. Wow. That is those
are really good looking.
Yeah, actual effort and care went into these. Like, holy and they're movable too. So yeah, I'll be wasting. Well, it's not a waste, but I'll be spending quite a bit of money on those because I fucking need those. They keep the aesthetic of the game and everything. Oh, it's so good. Derek, yeah. As soon as like somebody sent me that was like, yeah, that remaster is coming. Like there's no other reason to release Final Fantasy Tactics figures that look that good.
I'm gonna play the shit out of it because it is one that I never got to play because I never had handhelds growing up. So,
Britt, you are in for a treat.
Are they gonna fix the fucking
WeGraph fight?
The fucking WeGraph fight.
So I will.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Britt. No, Britt, go ahead.
No. Go. Mine. I'm changing the subject, so you go, and then I'll go.
Oh, so I was just gonna say what Derek is referring to is an infamous boss fight in Final Fantasy Tactics where it's you. It is horseshit. Like Final Fantasy Tactics, one of the greatest games ever made. This fight is horseshit. If you do not prep in a very specific way for a certain job, it's almost an unwinnable fight. It's the only real flaw in the game. But like I know people who have had to start over because WeGraph they could not pass WeGraph. But
is that in the original or on the remake on the PSP remake?
Even in the remake, I've never gotten past
Really?
Wii I've never beaten Wii Graph.
There are ways.
That's what I was gonna say. Is because the remake got released in what 2008 on PSP or DS?
Yeah,
was it
like
DS?
It's PSP.
No,
One of the handhelds.
PSP.
But I remember I was poor, so I never got to play any handheld games. I never got to buy them. Like I got the main consoles, and that was it. And I remember everybody and their mom playing it and talking about it and like leveling up and like grinding and talking about how cool it was, and me just seething in the corner because I could not play because I couldn't afford it.
Yeah, it's that remaster is 100% coming. I have to believe, Derek, that they're gonna do something about that Wii Graph fight.
Yeah, like I don't like the first Afghanian boss fight either with the gate, but Wii Graph is some next level. Wii Graph is my least favorite Final Fantasy boss fight of all time. It's horseshit.
It's
Fuck
not
Wii
great.
Graph. All
It's
my
not
homies
great.
hate Wii Graph.
Everyone hates Wii Graph.
Can we go back and talk about Jeff's opinions on Final Fantasy VIII that he's been playing that he completely forgot about?
Let's do this. We got time. I want to talk about some Final Fantasy VIII.
Hold on.
No,
John hates Final Fantasy VIII and he's wrong. It's okay.
I'm just posting a chat. I don't have a lot to say. I don't know.
Let me sum it up for you, Jeff. You think Final Fantasy VIII is good with all the cheats on.
Yeah.
So you don't actually have to play the game how it's intended.
Take the cheats off and let you know how you feel.
I'll break it down real quick. I played it like when it first came out, basically, and I don't remember having a problem with the draw system at the time. But I was just saying in chat, I got stuck at the final boss, and
Me too.
Yeah, and when I get stuck in a final boss in Final Fantasy, I just grind levels until I can just brute force it because I'm not good at these games.
Doesn't work.
That makes it worse.
So, I'm not good at strategy. I don't know how to like pair statuses and stuff. I just mash attack and use limit break. That's how I get through Final Fantasy games. I don't know when they throw zombie at me. I don't know what to do with that. So. Just grinded the shit of it, and I was like still not getting her. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And my friends and I like had it to my friend, and he's like, oh man, like these enemies are like scaling up with you, and I was just so mad. I like literally didn't touch it for 20 years.
Yeah.
And then I bought it for the Switch like right when the pandemic started, and played a little bit, and I was like, I'm not gonna play cheats. I'm gonna play it legit. And I like drew things 5 times. I was like, fuck this. And
fuck this. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So then I don't care about combat in Final Fantasy games. I just play them for the story.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it. I'm in the mood for some Final Fantasy. I'm like not quite ready to play Remake again yet. I want to see if like there's news on Part 2 soon. So booted it up, and I've got the like basically unlimited health, unlimited limit breaks, 3 times speed. I only turn on the 3 times speed for the battles just to power through them, and then I like go back to normal. But it's great. I'm just taking in the story. Love the world. Love the music so much. It's so good.
Playing Final Fantasy VIII for the story, huh?
Because it's a solid story, and
Good
Final
story.
Fantasy VIII is the only Final Fantasy, one of the only JRPGs to accurately portray teenage protagonists.
Okay,
Everyone hates
let me
Squall
go,
because they were Squall.
I'm gonna say this one thing.
Yep.
And I'm going to save the discussion for whenever John and I are going to record the Final Fantasy VIII versus Final Fantasy IX. I'm going to say, I played Final Fantasy VIII probably like a few years after it came out. Like Jeff, like almost exact situation. Got to the very end, couldn't fucking beat it. Had to use Game Shark to cheat. Level it through, whatever. The story is good. Even back then, I thought the story is good up until a certain point. Then it kind of just like twiddles off. But that's like any Final Fantasy, right?
I was gonna say Final Fantasy game story's falling apart at the end.
Right. So that's just it's just Final Fantasy. I went back, replayed it, platinumed it on the PS4. I had to thoroughly use a guide, and I used the 2 times speed, whatever, to increase the speed. And it is good if you understand the system or break the system. So for casual players just going into the game, if you just go into the game brand new, you don't know what the fuck you're doing, it's hard to understand, it's hard to get. Is it a bad Final Fantasy? No. It's on the lower totem of my Final Fantasies. I think Squall is a wonderful character. He goes through a lot of growth in the series, which I didn't understand. And people obviously just dismiss him after Final Fantasy VII as another Cloud. But basically, I'm not going to keep talking about this because I could keep talking about this. But basically, it's good if you know the system or you cheat the system. And I think that's not fair to people who pick up the new game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
So it's bad if you like don't cheat the system. And
I had a
that
whole
system
thread.
includes triple triad, which is really fucking
hard
hard.
On how to fix the mechanics with very few small changes, but I don't want to spend 10 more minutes on Final Fantasy VIII talking about mechanic changes. But
all I'll say is if you gotta play the game wrong to enjoy the game, what does that say about the game?
There's a lot of games you got to do that. That's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Anyway. First big topic. God, I'm still thinking about those fucking Final Fantasy Tactics figures. First big. That shit's gonna be in my brain for weeks. First big topic of the night. Let's talk about acquisitions. Yeah, acquisitions time. So
2022, the acquisition year.
So first, it was Xbox buying Activision Blizzard. We had a big discussion about that. And I want to stress, we are not saying like this is not as big as Xbox buying
so much
Activision
smaller.
Blizzard. It's not anywhere near as big.
It's kind of interesting as a point of comparison, though, I think. It is still big industry news. So
it is.
Not as big as Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard is kind of a fucking bar to clear. You know what I mean?
Very, very high bar. But earlier this week, we found out that Sony has purchased Bungie, which is
purchasing.
We're in the works of, but I'm sure it'll go through. By the way, I want to point out the incredible irony of Microsoft now owning Crash Bandicoot and Sony now owning Bungie, the original developers of Halo.
I don't know what the fuck's going on anymore.
What a weird fucking world we live in. But Sony purchased them to the tune of $3.6 billion. And I will be completely honest with you. I was not aware that Sony had that kind of capital. Sony just simply does not have the war chest. Seriously.
They have their short-term thing. I mean, for all of Sony, not just for PlayStation, but for all of Sony is like $18 billion for acquisitions. That has already been set aside by Sony Corp, and provisionally they can get more if they need to. But that has been a thing. I didn't expect them to spend so much in one go. Yeah. But and also so an additional thing about that is it's like they're buying Bungie for like 2.4, and then over the next few years, the additional 1.2 billion is being distributed actually to the developers. I think is like a payout for like stock options or something for retention or something. So that's not just the price tag.
So, what's interesting about this buy to me is that, everybody said, and Derek, you and I had talked about this briefly on the phone the day it happened. But everybody had been like, the first question out of people's mouths was, what does this mean for Destiny 2 or Destiny 2? And like the answer to most people, I think, was pretty obvious. Like, nothing, right? Like it doesn't mean anything for Destiny 2. Like it's not like they're gonna stop releasing expansions on the Xbox for Destiny 2, and that's just not gonna happen. And as it turns out, go ahead, Justin.
I mean, Bungie has very carefully gone out of its way to unequivocally state that they are still a full multi-platform focused studio.
Yeah, that's the big differentiator here.
Yeah.
Between something like Microsoft, where they very clear. So the games industry biz article, the first thing it says is Bungie is an independent subsidiary of Sony Interactive Entertainment. So they basically, they're part of Sony, but they aren't really. I don't know if they're considered part of the worldwide studio stable.
They're not part of PlayStation Studios. They are a part of PlayStation for the gaming division, but they're not considered PlayStation Studios.
So Sony cuts the paychecks and Sony gets the revenue, but aside from that, their run, all the decisions and management stays with Bungie. So it's not like Sony's going to be stepping in tomorrow and meddling and stuff and I think it's very clear after Bungie's experience with Microsoft and their experience with Activision Blizzard and celebrating their freedom. I'm sure that was big on their list there, and the requirements is like, hey, we'll do this, but And then there's the John. Sorry, I don't know if you were going to get to it.
No, go ahead.
You can go ahead.
No. Just no, Jeff, please.
No, just before I forget to mention it, I mean, the other big thing here, which I think a lot of people are talking about, is because it's like, well, if they're independent, they're staying multi-platform, they can still self-publish. There's no changes basically to how they're operating or how they're making games. Like, what does Sony get out of it? And a lot of people have been highlighting. Yeah, so Sony even mentions it in the blog post. Basically that they're looking to collaborate, and a lot of the speculation is Sony. Sony doesn't have a lot of multiplayer games at the moment. This live service games, the type of they don't have any online shooters. And they also, Sony has a very large movies and television division, and they've specifically branched out to be doing more video game stuff. They opened like their PlayStation Studios film division.
Productions, I believe is what they're calling it.
They're working on The Last of Us with HBO. They announced a Final Fantasy 14 live action TV series. I don't know if that's ever going to get made. But there's a lot of cross media possibility with Destiny here as well, on top of just leveraging their experience in the if whatever they want to call it, an MMO or online shooter space, to help share with their teams and share technology and share strategies. So I think there's a bigger picture there rather than them just looking to like make a quick buck off Destiny.
Well, and like to kind of springboard off of what Jeff was saying, they had said that they were planning on releasing 10 live service games in what was the period of time that I saw?
By 2026.
What the fuck is going on with Britt?
It's in the next few years.
What? What happened?
What's going on? I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. Hold on. I'm gonna leave it come back.
Look on the stream.
What happened? I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
She turned into a garbage disposal on the street.
Oh my God, she did, and she's glitching out. She was glitching out.
Did you see yourself on the stream?
Oh, that was fucked up. I saw that. That was scary.
Oh my God!
I'm just on the Discord call.
The killer got her.
Fine. I don't even.
No. You had to look at the Twitch stream. Like it looked like I was expecting.
It was bad on my end.
I was expecting Samara from The Ring to come crawling through the monitor. Like that was fucked up.
That's my legacy. That's why I leave the podcast.
But Lerv, thanks for stopping by, man. Games as a service. It was 10 by 2026, right? That's what they said.
Bungie's gonna make all of them.
There's no way Bungie's gonna make all these games.
I think we know what a good number of them are.
What are they then?
Based off of job. I mean, maybe not specific, but at least who's doing them based off of job listings. Naughty Dog's doing Last of Us Factions. That's probably going to be a big one. There's rumors of the Twisted Metal reboot. There's Insomniac, Fire Sprite are both hiring for multiplayer projects. Deviation Games and Haven Games have announced, they're being formed in partnership with Sony, and like they're third party, but they are working on stuff. So like that's like 7 of them right there. We know Guerrilla Games is working on another project, and the guy heading that up was in charge of a lot of the Killzone multiplayer stuff. Worked on Rainbow Six Siege, so that's also likely a service game. So like that's most of them probably.
So I have to wonder, do you think Bungie is going to be, and this is a question for the whole group, do we think Bungie is going to be helping in the online infrastructure for these games? Because I mean, if anybody knows how to run a live service game, I mean, it's fucking Bungie.
I mean, they
at this
could
point.
be consulted on it. Like, I don't think they're going to design it, but
yeah, they've straight up said Bungie is going to be consulting with a lot of their studios for how to manage and run a live service.
But it's also important to note that, according to what we know, and according to statements that have been made, Bungie is retaining their autonomy. Like they are free to publish games on Xbox if they wish. Or am I reading that wrong, or is that?
No, Bungie has unequivocally said that they're not taking anything away for Destiny. Future games, they aren't changing anything. They want one community of Bungie fans.
Let's break down this walled garden.
That's fascinating.
No more exclusives.
Which is interesting considering PlayStation has not been very nice on when it comes to like crossplay and everything. Like they're the ones that have been sticking their heels into the ground and not wanting to
see some changes.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, I assume that stuff's coming down now because like I can't see Bungie wanting to join if Sony was going to continue to be,
they weren't willing to be
antagonistic for crossplay. And Sony has been, emphasized. I mean, they're releasing stuff on PC now too. I assume they're also going to be putting in kind of the same kind of promotion for, streaming games like Microsoft is with xCloud coming in the future. I think, having crossplay singular and, a singular account for progress and stuff and that sort of thing. I think just for any successful live service game to really build an audience and to be supported properly, you kind of have to.
Yeah,
I think that's bigger than any kind of platform benefit.
And the direct quote from the PlayStation blog announcement basically says the same thing. So the quote is, Bungie's world-class expertise in multi-platform development and live game services will help us deliver on our vision of expanding PlayStation to hundreds of millions of gamers. Bungie is a great innovator and has developed incredible tools that will help PlayStation Studios achieve new heights. So it's, pretty straightforward there.
I think it's really funny that Bungie went from being Xbox exclusive to now being bought by PlayStation. It's just like, it's crazy to think about. Like the creators of Halo are now being purchased by Sony. It's just, it's
Sonic
wild
the
to think
Hedgehog
about
is
it.
biggest on Nintendo platforms.
It's crazy. Like, I think because of that alone, I don't think Sony's going to damage that kind of relationship with Bungie because they left Xbox because they wanted creative freedom. They just didn't want to keep cranking out Halo games, which is what Microsoft wanted them to do at the time. And I think like Bungie had a good relationship with Xbox, and I don't think that that's going to get ruined.
I mean, Phil Spencer has said like Destiny is like his favorite game. Like that dude plays a lot of Destiny. Like
it makes sense that Sony would play it safe though too. That like because you're right. Like that is exactly why Bungie left Microsoft. So like why buy them and then try to be like it would just be a doomed prospect from the very start.
Right.
So this is interesting. And I was not aware of this until just now. So, and I'm quoting Kotaku here. And this is something that just released, just dropped today. It says, when Sony revealed its surprise $3.6 billion deal to buy Bungie, it was clear the PS5 manufacturer was paying a premium for the original creators of Halo and now Destiny 2. Now the company has revealed roughly a third of that price tag is just to pay Bungie developers so they don't immediately leave the studio.
Really?
Yeah,
fascinating.
I mentioned that right when we started talking about it.
I must have completely missed you saying that.
I didn't hear that either.
Yeah, no. So a third of it is a long-term retention plan for developers.
Fascinating.
So Bungie is over 900 developers.
That's what it says
so
here,
like,
yeah.
I mean that's a fair amount that the developers are. That's gonna go directly to the team in order to.
Well, it says like $1 million per developer.
Well, that says on average.
On average,
we all know that is not how it's going to play out.
For sure.
But, I mean, it still should be a substantial bonus, I think, for even the rank and file developers.
The article...
the big...
No, just go ahead. No, I didn't mean to cut you off, buddy.
I mean, I think a big part of a lot of these acquisitions is just in trying to get enough talent working for you at this point. AAA studios, I don't know if you guys have noticed, this is kind of a more in the weeds thing, but if you've looked at like the job openings and stuff, these studios are hiring like crazy and they are competing for just getting people to work there like crazy. I mean, like even in Sony's own studios, Insomniac, Naughty Dog, and Santa Monica are like around the corner from each other, and they are competing with each other to get the level of talent that they need and the number of people to just to get games out the door. And so Bungie is another 900 people in under the PlayStation development umbrella. And I think that's a big deal as well, on top of all the other benefits that Bungie specifically brings.
Well, I think if we're talking about this, we need to kind of address the issue of crunch, because crunch has been a problem with Sony Studios. When you're talking about Naughty Dog and Sony Santa Monica, they've had their issues with crunch. Bungie themselves has had issues with crunch in the past. And according to what I was reading in that Kotaku article, there are some Bungie employees wondering if this will exacerbate crunch problems as opposed to make them better.
Hang on here, because I might have this completely backwards. With Insomniac, did Insomniac not do any crunch with Ratchet and Clank?
No, they did no like Insomniac is like a
Insomniac is like Insomniac and EA are some of the places in the AAA industry I have heard have little to no crunch.
I'm gonna withhold my comments about EA.
Yeah.
Not much to crunch on when you release the same game year after year. But anyway.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing. So under Sony, like, you've kind of got both ends of that spectrum. You've got Insomniac very clearly sticking to not like participating in crunch game after game after game, or extended crunch. They clearly will go through some short periods of crunch because that's just inevitable in software development. But yeah, then you get the stories about Naughty Dog, and some of the stories behind God of War with Santa Monica. And yeah, I mean, I guess you just get both ends of that spectrum. It kind of almost feels like Sony's like as a parent company is just kind of hands off in that regard.
I think things are changing on that front. Again, this is kind of more in the weeds thing that a lot of people might not have noticed, but Naughty Dog has prided itself in the past on not having producers, and producers are kind of key for scheduling and managing people.
You need producers.
They have hired several in the past year.
Good.
And they Arnie, who used to be like he used to be just purely social media and comms. He got promoted to Arnie Meyer. Yeah. He got promoted to VP of Naughty Dog, and one of the things he said is improving work-life balance and stuff. So there's at least improvements going on. Whether or not it's going to work, we don't know yet. But I do think there is some level of at least attempt to address those things, and I hope it goes well.
So too. Honestly, do we have a date as to when this deal is supposed to close? Derek,
all we know is it was the first movement on it was about 5 to 6 months ago, which also completely kills any idea that people were fanboy Twitter was pushing early that Sony was like trying to counter Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard.
Right.
No, so this is already 5 to 6 months in the works. I do think that this deal seems to be a little bit ahead of the Activision Blizzard purchase, and I also think there's a lot less complication in something like, Bungie, a single very large development studio, versus, Activision Blizzard, an entire company being bought out by Microsoft and shuffled in and under.
Right.
But I'm not a business person. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe early next year that things get finalized.
I refuse to believe that. Like, I am sure Sony has their eyes on other smaller studios. Now we, I think it's, I think we have to talk about the obligatory, who do we think is going to be next, right? Like, because if you'd asked me last week,
fight you, John.
Hold on, Derek, hold on.
Do we have to? Do we?
Yeah, I don't want to.
Hold on, I've just got one. Because Derek, if you'd asked me last week if they were going to buy Bungie, I would have said no. That doesn't make any sense. Like it doesn't seem like those two brands align. But I've been thinking about it, and I could see them purchasing something like Bandai Namco. Like something small.
No. Do you even know how big Bandai Namco is? That company's massive. What are you talking about, John? You're fucking drunk.
Bandai Namco's huge.
Bamco is bigger and probably has more liquid cash than Sony does. Do you
sure
understand this? Bamco's huge. Bamco isn't just games development, dude. Bamco is like merchandise, and they are massive in the merchandise realm.
Somebody in chat said no, Capcom. I think no, they're not going to buy Capcom. No, that's not
Bamco is like the last of the gaming companies getting purchased. They are so fucking big.
And also they're a company that's they're not just a gaming company. Like there is a ton of other industries that they're in.
Yeah, that they're in. Their ties to like anime publishers are far too massive for them to get bought out by a gaming company.
Also, if Sony tried to make another big anime purchase, they would probably actually face issues in regards to
I'm confused.
regulation.
Did they already make a big anime purchase?
They have bought.
Yeah, they bought Funimation and Crunchyroll.
They own Crunchyroll. That's right. Yeah, shit.
And Funimation, like they own anime in America.
Yeah,
at this point.
I mean, I don't know what the hell Funimation is, but I know what Crunchyroll is. So,
yeah, no, I don't think Sony could buy a company that's that.
Derek, I don't watch anime. With you don't give me that face. You know I don't watch anime. I don't know what the hell Funimation is. I think I just broke Derek's brain meats. Rar says John's got to watch some anime. He's tried. They've tried. Rar. They've tried. It just didn't stick. Someone clip that, please. Britt wants somebody to clip Derek's face when I said that I didn't know what Funimation was.
Me and her both went like, "What the fuck?"
Sorry. Like actually, I'm not sorry.
Look,
I don't watch anime.
None of the other big publishers that people think of, aside from maybe Konami, are gonna sell. It's that simple. Square Enix is doing fine. Capcom's doing great. Bamco is too fucking big. Tecmo Koei has a wonderful little niche market carved out for themselves, and they're doing great with their partnerships.
SNK.
Sega's not in the best spot, but Sega's going to be fine, and Sega's not selling.
I thought Sega was doing good.
Sega's doing fine. I mean, they sold off their arcade business. Like, they're having to make some moves, but
that's right.
They're doing fine. Like, and again, they're too interested in partnering with other companies. Like, that's the thing. It's not going to happen. There were very weird and unique circumstances behind Activision Blizzard. And Bethesda. Like, Bethesda was in a uniquely bad position, and so was Activision Blizzard. And even then, remember, the Activision Blizzard purchase may not come through. That is a real fucking big buy.
Can you imagine
that
if,
could
like,
get shut down
after all the announcements and all the hoopla, like it just being shut down?
I think Activision. I think that deal goes through. However, if they try to buy another publisher or something after that,
if Microsoft actually succeeds on this purchase with Activision Blizzard, they're not making any more buys for a long time.
Yeah,
they will have pushed it to the line.
Well, at that point, you start violating you start getting close to antitrust laws.
Well, we might already be there. Like they're towing that line, and they will know they need to lay low for a long time.
I mean, they probably will be fine. I mean, they've even said that even after factoring in Activision Blizzard, they're still only third in terms of gaming revenue.
In terms of young, like specific age demographic men, which like, okay.
No, in terms of like companies that make the most in gaming, after this, it would be Tencent, Sony, and then Microsoft after Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know about any of that stuff. I think they're going to get scrutiny, but I think it goes through just fine. Yeah. However, after that goes through, then they're going to have some more difficulty.
These are I mean like Sony buying Bungie and not changing a goddamn thing about it is they just want Bungie's money they make. Is like, that should tell you how little the acquisitions are going to mean for a while after Activision Blizzard.
And I think also and this is something I've just been thinking of, like, because they're paying a lot of money and not really getting any exclusivity out of it. So people have been wondering why it's happening. But, like, I think, like, Sony's games are expensive to make. And they don't have their big evergreen service title that they have money coming in for to, like, subsidize that stuff. And I think it's really, it's probably getting to a point where it's pretty important for, a big publisher to have at least one evergreen service title making a lot of money so that they can keep making stuff like Last of Us and Uncharted and God of War, like these one and done big single player games. I don't think I think that's probably their big play.
That plus the re-releasing games on PC and getting a whole nother round of people buying God of War for $50 instead of $20 is like,
when it's the game's $10 regularly on PS4, but they got a whole lot of people to buy it.
I bought it for $50. Fuck it. And I own it on PS. I just did it because I wanted to support it and I prefer to play on my PC. So
I'm trolling Derek in chat.
I know no one believes you. It's okay. But yeah,
all right.
I just, I think I think that people, the Activision Blizzard purchase has people a little scared, and like nobody's buying Capcom. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm just not saying nobody's doing anything at this point, because
small studios are going to keep getting bought. Like developers, independent individual developers are going to keep getting bought up. But like fucking Take-Two is not getting bought by anybody. You know what I mean?
I mean, Take-Two just bought Zynga.
Right.
Like I think a lot of people are not thinking about how much that, because I mean, well, the Zynga purchase is what? The second or third largest gaming acquisition ever. Like that one kind of wasn't, a ton of news because it's, a lot of hardcore gamers don't care about mobile. But like, that's a huge acquisition that they just made.
We keep saying Activision Blizzard and not Activision Blizzard King.
Blizzard King, yeah.
Despite the fact that Candy Crush makes money, so
yeah. I actually did see somebody that didn't even know about King, because saw somebody mention it and they're like, "Why is everybody putting King after it?" Like thinking it was like some fanboy thing, and it's like, no, that's the other company.
We forgive you, King.
I just want to point out, I will tweet this out after the podcast, but this picture of Derek and Brittany's, this freeze frame of Derek and Brittany's reaction to me not knowing what Funimation is. Like Derek looks like he's just done with all my bullshit. Brittany looks like she's genuinely offended. Like she saw something that deeply upsets her. Like that. Yeah, this is fucking perfect. Me. This is fucking perfect. I can't wait to tweet this. This is great. All right. So I feel like we've kind of beaten this topic to death. We did have one more topic, and that is Pokemon Legends Arceus, which released last week. And actually, Justin, before you had dropped this in the Discord chat, I had saw this as well, and I figured we should bring it up now. Sales for Pokemon Legends Arceus just dropped. The game has sold over 6.5 million copies in less than a week.
That's scary. Hey,
yeah,
that happens when you sell a single. Well, no, because they usually combine SKU sales anyway when they talk about Pokemon. So
yeah, no,
I'm
that's just the thing that I was just thinking about. Right. That makes that number even more huge. It's like, oh, they're not doing the double packs and stuff like they would do before. Like that's actually that's actually a non-inflated sales number,
right? So quick temperature check. Who here has played Pokemon Legends Arceus and who hasn't?
Me. I've played it.
Okay, so these three nerds have, and these two nerds haven't. Got it. Okay, so that's good, because I think Jeff and Justin, what is y'all's history with Pokemon prior to now, if any?
Justin can go first.
Okay, so I was big into Pokemon when it first started. Like back in the mid 90s and everything, when it got really huge.
with where they loaded them all on the bus.
Yeah. All that back then, and then it just kind of got to a point where the mainline games didn't really interest me all that much. Like I haven't really played any Pokemon games in quite some time aside from at Extra Life.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Because remember, I was like, because there's like types and stuff that I don't know what they are, how they interact anymore, and stuff like that. So like, but I've kind of kept up on like the new Pokemon that have been introduced and stuff. I really like Pokemon as characters and stuff, but I haven't really been very into the games in a while, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff, what about you, man?
Not a lot of experience. I was all in on Pokemon Yellow. That was probably when I was almost in high school or just in junior high. I can't remember. So Pokemon Yellow, I had the Pikachu. limited edition Game Boy, Pokemon Yellow. I had the Pokemon printer that you could like print stuff out.
Oh hell yeah, that Game Boy printer.
There was one.
Yeah, all that stuff. I was all into the anime. I don't know, like the original anime, whatever the seasons were, and that was it. So it was like a year or two of like hardcore Pokemon, the cards, the binder with the pages and the
hell yeah,
the shinies and stuff. Going down to the local comic shop, and then nothing. So that was it. And then I played Pokemon Go in 2016. That was like. That was like probably close to my game of the year that year. Like
literally everyone played Pokemon Go. Except
it was great.
For,
like that was like
one week, world peace was achieved.
Yeah. It was so good. I mean, I worked before the pandemic. I worked in the downtown core. It was like fucking Pokemon Go heaven. Like Pokestops every 5 feet, all the rares and stuff. So, but so the thing is, where I'm going with this is. Because I play Pokemon Yellow and watch the anime, it's basically all nostalgia for me, and I only care about the original 150 or 151 Pokemon. Once I got all those in Pokemon Go and like I started again, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, I don't know what these weird new Pokemon are.
What the fuck is a Quillfish?
Yeah, is that Pokemon? I don't know. So like, I just tuned out. So since then, I bought like something. Fuck, I don't even remember. Like one of those remakes. I bought something on the Wii U, or no, maybe on my 3DS. I bought something. I bought Sword a couple years ago and bounced after like 30 minutes. I just don't think the games are really. I don't know. I can't get into them. And I'm playing a little bit of Sword now. Actually, I didn't mention that earlier, and it's like it's fine, but like I don't know. It's just I just don't think the series is for me anymore. I did like Let's Go. Again, I played an hour of that, and it didn't have any Pro Controller support. And I couldn't back up my cloud saves, and my saves fucking gone because fucking Nintendo. Like, just I don't know. Like, it's just part
fucking
of the Nintendo Pokemon thing.
That's, yeah.
It just so like it just yeah. Anyways, I'm not gonna go on any further. So not much history, not a ton of attachment to the franchise. I definitely have my eyes on Arceus because my big thing is I don't want to fight, and that's why I love Pokemon Go because I can just run around like an idiot, throwing Pokeballs at Pokemon and catching them. I just want to collect them all. And so like when you put me in these games and you make me like fight, I'm like, I don't want to fight them to catch them. I'll put up with a few trainer battles, but I don't want to have to fight every Pokemon I run into. So Arceus definitely has my Arceus. I don't know. Definitely has my attention. I'm keeping an eye on it. I just wish these games would go on sale sometimes because it's $95 here, and I'm not willing to gamble that much money on a game. I'm like, maybe I'm gonna like.
Yeah. So. John, how far into Pokemon Legends Arceus are you?
So
I did it. God damn it.
You did. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna do it too. So I just cleared the first noble Pokemon. I can't remember its name.
Cleavor.
Cleavor, right? It was Cleavor. So I'm about considering that I'm taking my time, I'm about maybe 7 hours in.
Okay. I think we're at a similar point. I think it just got past Cleavor. So.
I'm not. I got to be honest with you. I'm starting to sour on it. And I'll tell you why.
Well, let's talk about what makes this game different before we just fucking leap. Because like, if much what we're going to talk about is like the changes to the formula and what stays and what goes. And
that's fair.
I'm really interested in actually hearing like thoughts on the changes and stuff because I don't know specifically how everything changed. Like I vaguely know what the like broad strokes of it are. I'll give you
kind of an idea of how the minute to minute has changed. Okay, so instead of it being like a JRPG format where you are moving from town to town, going along routes, going to your selections of boss battles, you instead have one town effectively that you are in the center of, and you go out into it's almost sort of Monster Hunter-esque in that you have like a town and then you go out to like regions
around it. Okay, that makes sense.
And those regions are fairly large open world maps, almost their own wild areas. From
okay, yeah, that
Shield,
does sound like Monster Hunter.
If that makes sense. But you're not going out to like get one specific Pokemon or anything. It's you get these little side missions, but and then you even get like multiple camps that you can choose to start from that you can use as your rest point, access stores, heal your Pokemon, things like that. There's a little bit of like environmental, like gathering items and crafting and making your potions, making your Pokeballs, things like that. But the actual catching of Pokemon is kind of divided up a couple of ways because some Pokemon most Pokemon, you can sneak up behind them and just Pokeball them. And if it's good enough Pokeball, and depending on like the level and the type of Pokemon, you can just catch them without ever engaging in a fight. You just snuck up behind him in some grass and threw a Pokeball
nice.
right.
I like that.
And,
I didn't know. I didn't realize that.
Yes. But there are some Pokemon that are much harder to catch, and they are easier to catch if you can battle them and get their HP down. Or there's some Pokemon that they get their guard up when they notice you, and then the only way to catch them is in battle. There are like challenges associated with each Pokemon in the Pokedex to actually finish an entry, so it's not just catch a Pokemon and get it. You often need to catch several of a certain species and
That's cool.
see them using certain moves. Catch some of them during the night. Catch some of them without ever being spotted. Evolve them, things like that, to actually finish out that Pokedex entry.
Okay,
and
I
then,
do that.
and then there is
like
the traditional. If you get in a fight, it's the traditional Pokemon battle mechanics. Just hard to explain what makes it different. Like,
So, I mean, right now, right off the bat, you can run around during battle. Like your trainer can actually run around during the fight. Everything like there's no screen transition. Like everything just kind of like happens right there in the field. I will say that the battle animations are greatly improved.
The feel of battle feels more like, you know how in Dragon Quest, those of us who play Dragon Quest 10, no, not 10, 11. 11 is the one that recently, yes, Dragon Quest 11. Those of us who play Dragon Quest 11, that kind of feeling of a JRPG just going into battle from the overworld instead of it being like the old school Final Fantasy style, and then blacking out and going into a battle screen. It's kind of nice. So,
and it's also, Derek, I don't know if this has been your experience, but it is the hardest Pokemon game I've played. Like, dude, this game is fucking challenging.
It's harder.
Like,
it's harder for sure.
Like it's not like a fucking Dark Souls game or anything.
No,
but
there's more challenge than there was.
Yes,
that's for sure.
Eric, do that Pokemon going into battle sound again?
No, I've already done it just the once. So
somebody, that was really good. Jeff. For everybody listening, Jeff said it's like he's motorboating and beatboxing at the same time. That's quite descriptive.
That's why I wasn't popular in school.
That's quite descriptive. Hey man, but you know what, Derek? That's why you're popular with me, okay?
Yes, for sure.
Beatboxing, motorboating, son of a bitch. Keep going, dude.
I can't.
Yes, you can. I believe in you. You old sailor, you. All right. So, Jesus Christ.
Britt, if you're able to breathe, what has your time with Pokemon Legends Arceus been like so far? Like, how are you feeling? What about these changes are you really liking, and what are you disliking?
So let's talk about the battle real quick. Because it's different than like that's what I've been hearing. That's what people want to know the most is how do you battle, right? If you just chuck a fucking ball at a Pokemon, that's one thing. But some Pokemon you have to battle. So battling is interesting.
Like it's mechanically exactly the same, but it feels very different just from how aesthetically it's changed.
It does because you like, and I couldn't figure this out. How do you swap Pokemon? Like can you swap Pokemon in battle? Or do you have to wait till it faints?
Yeah.
No,
I couldn't figure that shit out. So
if you hit up on the D-pad, it goes to items, and if you hit down on the D-pad, it goes to Pokemon, and you can just switch when it's
so I could select the Pokemon menu, but I couldn't figure out how to like actually pick that Pokemon. It's the same, but it's different, right? Like you mess with the usual, and it just kind of throws everything off, and that's what it kind of did for me. I think it has potential for me. Like I'm not that far like you guys. I think it has potential, but it hasn't drawn me in like I want it to. And that's just because I don't know if it's because of the difference or because of like for instance, I played Pokemon Pearl. Like that was one of my favorite games I played last year. And despite the fact that I played the game already, like I loved it. I got into it. It was super fun. Like, but Arceus, what's the right one?
Arceus.
One of these fucking
Okay.
words.
Pokemon it's just
call it Legends. It's so much easier.
So Legends it's different, and a lot of people like that it's different, and that's okay. But I don't know if it's for me yet. I haven't played enough for me to decide if it's something that I am going to enjoy. I love the fact that you get to like just go out in the wild and just yeet your ball at a Pokemon. But I don't know how. Like, I don't know if that's sustainable endgame, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in here that are that have like probably beaten the game or have got to endgame. But I'm curious, is like, do you actually, when you get to the end game, do you actually get to just throw the balls, or do you have to battle every time? Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think, Britt and Derek, you two chime in on this one, but one of the positive changes, I think, I feel like the most positive changes for me are split between battle and actual, structure of the story itself. For one of the most positive things about the new format of battles for me is that, you've got this big open world. And just because of that, since all those battles happen right where you are, there's no real battle transition. You're just kind of right there. When you're fighting a Pokemon and you got like rolling hills and a huge mountain in the background, it lends it a much more epic and kind of grand scale.
Really do like that it transforms where you're at currently into a battlefield instead of just like some preset some preset things. So that is one thing I really do like about it.
I really appreciate that. And one thing the other thing right off the bat that I think of when I think of improvements to the general Pokemon formula is it's structured much more like a traditional JRPG now, with actual quests and a storyline. There's no trainers. There's no gym battles. There's no gyms at all, because you are actually creating the first Pokedex in existence, and you're in this world where people do not have the relationship with Pokemon that they did in previous games. Like, Pokemon here are wild animals, and the villagers fear them. You are just kind of helping them discover really, or like build that relationship between humans and Pokemon that has gone on to exist through all these different games and all these different regions. And that, to me, is really, it really does feel like you are kind of building now all the worlds that we have enjoyed over the decades of Pokemon games. And that, to me, is it like, so when I talk about the structure of the game, every Pokemon game since inception has really been the same, right? Like, you fight in a bunch of gyms, and you evolve your Pokemon, and then you fight your rival at the end. That's not what this is at all, by any stretch of the imagination. It's a brand new format for Pokemon. So in that sense, now I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, it's the Breath of the Wild of Pokemon." Yes and no. No, in the sense that there's just that open world, in my opinion, is nowhere near as interesting as Breath of the Wild's, which we can get into in a minute. But it is the Breath of the Wild and Pokemon in that it takes something that was established and completely flips it on its head. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. It's funny because I think almost it feels like everybody going, we want Pokemon to have its Breath of the Wild moment. This game feels so targeted at that specific request, almost to its detriment, if you ask me. I like this game. I can see myself beating this game. Part of that is that I'm not sitting down and marathoning this fucking game.
Right.
Like, I know some people who have been playing this game non-fucking stop.
I know some people that had like 30 plus hours.
I can't imagine that being sustainable. But I'm not somebody who can do that with Pokemon anyway, like ever. Like I need.
We couldn't even do fucking 24 hours straight of Pokemon.
This shit was hard. To be fair, we made it way harder.
I was dying after 18 hours.
Texas Pete.
Poor Texas.
Rip.
Peas.
Peas.
But peas.
Peas.
But I enjoy it, and I think that it's going to require me pacing myself, right? Playing this game in sessions, but not as my main game that I'm playing. Otherwise, I do think I would get burnt out on it fairly quickly. It's funny, John, to hear you say that this has a very classic, like it is a very like JRPG structure. And to me, I actually think the thing that I dislike is that it's not enough JRPG structure.
Interesting.
Like, it's got that Monster Hunter structure. I like a lot of what they're doing. But I'm
definitely getting the Monster Hunter vibes too, Derek. That's a good point.
I think of what I would want out of a future Pokemon game. Like, what's the stuff I like about this? I do like these big open areas. I like that feeling of exploration. I like a lot of the mechanics of Pokemon just being out and about and being able to just catch them without battling, or the seamlessness of transitioning into battle and out, because it's all the same world. The Pokemon are just there.
And I love the fact, Derek, that you can switch your moves out. You don't have to pick and choose.
Yes, tons of quality of life changes. The fact that Pokemon now learn moves to a move set of which you are picking 4 to be active at a time. I will never play a Pokemon game that goes back on that.
That is
too good.
It's so good,
great.
Justin.
So basically now it's like you equip.
You equip
moves that you're
4
gonna have.
of the moves off your list that you've learned. Yes.
Oh, that's great.
And you can do that anywhere. You can rename Pokemon at any time, just in your menu. Like little shit like that.
Stuff like that sounds great. And like,
there's so many good quality of life changes that I consider like game.
You can't go back on these
Pokemon.
now. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I do have to ask, just because I've seen so many conflicting reports. I have seen screenshots of this game that looked quite nice, especially ones focused on the Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
I have also seen screenshots of the environments that have been some of the most hideous screenshots I've seen
The
of games in the
environments
past
are
few
very
years.
low detail.
They're
the
bad.
Pokemon look good. The character models look good. The environments do not. The game looks great on a handheld when it's a 7-inch screen, 720p, but when I put that on my monitor, I put that on my TV, and it looks like ass.
I did the same.
So if I plug that into my 4K TV,
don't do it.
Justin, I will back Derek up here just out of curiosity. So I'm playing it on a Switch OLED, and I docked just to see, and I ripped that motherfucker out of the dock. I was like, no, go, God. I was like,
see, you get it.
No.
For a while, you were like, people are exaggerating about this game not being pretty.
And then I docked it, and I got it. And I was like, oh no!
Don't dock this game.
I will say this. I will say the game has. Britt and Derek, you tell me if your experience has been different, but the game has a ton of fucking pop in, whether it's docked or docked or handheld.
It's an open world game on the Switch. I hate to break it to you, it's gonna happen.
But Pokemon in the distance animate like they're in a stop motion fucking claymation movie.
Yeah, it happens.
I mean, that's a common thing. That's a common thing in open world games. I mean, in general, not even just on the Switch.
Did you play Monster Hunter Rise? I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. Like I all I know is I like even in handheld, it looks fine. The art direction of the game is great. The art direction is great. The Pokemon look great. The Pokemon moves look great. It's just that the world is not great. And
there's some growing pains still.
There's definitely.
This game sounds like this is a good step forward, but it's more of a base to build off of.
Oh God, yeah.
It's kind of what I'm hearing.
It's an experiment that wins in a lot of its like.
It's not bad, but it's not what it could be.
So
there are fundamental quality of life changes in this game that they simply, in my opinion, cannot go back on. Being able to like Derek said, I'll never play a Pokemon game again going forward where I have to sacrifice one move for another and lose that move forever. This is too good.
Don't make me go to the move tutor to learn shit back.
I love being able to just sneak up a Pokemon and catch him. I don't always want to fight a Pokemon.
Just fucking
I just want to catch
a wooden ball at a bird and catch it.
but there are.
I hope they also don't go back to having multiple versions. I think that's a nice change.
One thing. Jeff, go ahead, please.
No, I just wanted to ask, like, while you guys were talking about the visuals, because I mentioned I am dabbling with Sword a little bit, just because I already own it. I'm trying to give it a second chance and save myself some money. Like but I think it actually looks surprisingly good. Like, obviously, technically, it's not like competing with what's on the PS5.
Sword looks better.
Yeah, because I don't have any anti-aliasing. The textures are very simple, but I was like, I put it up on my TV. I'm like, you know what? This is pleasing to look at. The colors are nice. It's got a very good vibe to it. So like I just was surprised to hear that. I know it's an open world, but so that's where I'm wondering, like, is it like really a step back,
the vibes are excellent in our.
It fits with Pokemon, and that's one of the things that like really bothers me when people are like, oh, the graphics are shitty. Like, I don't play Pokemon for graphics. I play Pokemon for Pokemon. Yeah. Like, as long as they're decent, like that's all I care about. Like, I'm not looking at flowers or water or grass. Like, I'm looking at Pokemon, I'm looking at my character, I'm looking at NPCs, and all of those look fine. The environment, give or take, whatever, I don't care. But everything else looks fine. Like,
I want to know what the Wii water guy thinks of the water.
Oh, the water looks very interesting.
I will tell you this, Jeff. I will tell you this. If you dock this game, you will look at your TV the same way Britt and Derek looked at me when I said I don't know what Funimation is.
You're probably about right. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
So I think.
Go ahead, Derek, please.
I was going to say, I think when I look at this game and I think about the stuff that I want, like with the next Pokemon game, because Legends Arceus is a mainline game. Like, they've made it clear that's how they're titling it in Japan. Like, this is not a spinoff. This is the next generation, next mainline game. We know that they are going to make changes again in the future. So like, abilities, Pokemon abilities are gone in this game, but there's data for abilities for all of the new Pokemon in this game that's been like data mined. So we know that they intend to backtrack on some of these changes or otherwise kind of meld things. What I would like to see, if I look at something like Sword and Shield, which had the wild area in the middle of much of its map, but still had a lot of these routes, and then I look at what Arceus is doing, I'd like to see something that maybe retains the linear storytelling and the actual like traveling city to city, you know, even to gyms kind of structure of classic Pokemon. But let's have a couple of these environments placed through the map, and then also routes and cities that tie them together. You know, let's keep the sneaking around and throwing Pokeballs to catch them and the seamlessness of the transitions, but not build everything around, well, we went back to the one barren, uninteresting town in the game and got a bunch more random requests. The person who asked me for a big Buizel is now asking me for a new Pokemon, or
right.
You know, like, and
well, that's the thing, Derek, right? Like the hub aspect of the game works both for and against it, right? Like it's nice to have at one area where you go back to, you buy some items, buy some Pokeballs, get a few quests, and you head back out, right? Like it reinforces that feeling of this is my home, this is where my character lives, and I'm headed back out to blaze new trails. But at the same time,
it creates a Monster Hunter style feeling rather than the Pokemon adventure kind of feeling to me.
And that ties into my biggest problem.
But I love the exploration. So like,
so if
I
you
love
are
going to a weird new corner of the map and finding a Pokemon, like, oh, I didn't know that you would be there. That's so weird. Finding an Abra for the first time and they teleport away. It's like,
but if you are going to make this huge open world again, you need to populate it with things to do other than catching Pokemon, in my opinion. Yeah. Because I'm at the point in the game where I'm kind of walking around and I'm catching Pokemon, but and I hate comparing it to something like Breath of the Wild, or even something like the Elder Scrolls, where you got this big open world and there's tons of shit to do. Like, you can go in one direction and find something new, you can go in another direction and find something new, and it's not that I was expecting that with Arceus at all, but at the same time, I find myself.
It suffers from a lack of like forward momentum. Is that what you're kind of getting at?
Well, sort of. Like, it's this big open world, but the format of the actual, I mean, the gameplay format, the gameplay loop hasn't really changed from other Pokemon games. And like you're going out, you're catching more Pokemon, you're coming back, then you're going out, you're catching more Pokemon. Like that part hasn't changed. And I feel like going forward, if you're gonna reinvent this franchise, then you need some things need to happen in the world that are just beyond catching Pokemon, right? Like I'm not going to sit here and postulate on what that is, but like even NPCs you meet in the world, out in the open world, are just standing by a rock or just standing by a tree, and it's always the same guard. It's just the same guard. It's just like a guard.
I mean, that's Pokemon. That's RPGs, man. Like
that's true, but you need to, like, I feel like if you're, I don't know, if you're going to
what
change.
Do you think Gatekeeper and Fire Emblem Three Houses got so mimetic?
Right, I know, but like I don't know, like do you kind of get what I'm saying? If you're gonna reinvent the game like this, then you either go all the way or, like I think if they put out another game that is just like Arceus, that doesn't evolve that open world formula, I don't think you're going to see the reception to that be as warm as it has been for Arceus.
I think you can do it. I think that there's ways. I mean, again, like look at Monster Hunter, right? Why does Monster Hunter succeed? And Monster Hunter structurally is very similar to Pokemon Legends Arceus, where you're back to main hub, leaving out on an expedition. You know, you're not tracking giant monster to kill. You're trying to fulfill some story objective and find more Pokemon and expand your Pokedex. But there's ways to do it. Just, you know, and here's the thing. It's clear that there's multiple regions in the game, and I'm still only in the first one. And maybe getting to that second region and that opening up and me having a whole new area to explore will kind of reignite a lot of that passion of when I first jumped into the Obsidian Fields and was like, I gotta explore every corner of this map and find all the different Pokemon and find out what's in every corner and all of these little hidden areas. And, you know, but now that I've explored most of this map, you know, I need to hit that second map.
I want to get Britt's take on this because Britt, you are the only other person on the panel here who has played Arceus. Do you share my concerns with I don't know, kind of like the one note nature of the open world that Game Freak has created here, or I don't know, how do you feel?
No, because I think that Pokemon has had the same formula for the last I don't know how long Pokemon
20 years,
ever. I was gonna say 20, but it could be longer than that.
It's longer.
It's longer.
And I think if you're going to make a new game,
like
you want to incorporate some of what you've had for the last 20 years into what people want. And so I think so far it's been a good mix of the two. I think based on this, they can see what people like really want and move further. But I think it's fine. I think it's a good mesh of old and new, and I think it's a good tiptoe into the pond of making new Pokemon games and branching out, and it just not being, you know, like Pokemon Snap or Pokemon Dungeon. You know, it's a new Pokemon that you are used to, but also not really, you know, like it's you get the opportunity to play a new Pokemon game than you have for the last 20 years. So I think it's okay. I think what they did with the game is okay. I'm interested to see how they, you know, based on the reception of this game, and it's very popular. It's one of the most popular Switch games, so I'm interested to see how it goes moving forward and how they integrate everything just based on this going forward. I think this game was definitely just like, you know, a tip into the water, a tiptoe, just to kind of see the reaction of changing the formula that everybody's used to. So I think it's fine. You know, most Pokemon games aren't the best thing in existence. People just enjoy them. People enjoy catching Pokemon. People enjoy doing the gym. So switching that formula up is a feat in itself. So I'm excited to see how Pokemon changes going forward.
Yeah.
So
Pokemon's never going to be done. They're always going to be changing shit, learning, moving forward.
But what I just mean, like, than the normal stuff that we're used to.
Yeah.
So I've got one question for everyone before we wrap up here. Do we think that we're going to get a mainland Pokemon game this winter?
No, absolutely not. We're not getting even a Pokemon spin-off this year. We got two big Pokemon games back to back, and Pokemon Snap less than a year ago as well. Like, Pokemon is probably tapped out for at least into 2023.
And that's a good thing to mention, is that Pokemon Snap got free DLC. So, like, we might get shit going with our Legends. We might get shit with Legends going forward.
Well, and that was my thing.
So
it's like,
who knows?
What if instead of an actual Pokemon game, we get like an expansion for Arceus?
That reasonable.
I think is reasonable. That I think is reasonable, because I mean, we know Pokemon doesn't have a huge number of developers on it, and we already just had a couple remakes. This brand new game, which probably pushed them in directions they're not used to making, and Snap and stuff. So yeah, I think an expansion makes the most sense.
Okay. No, I agree. I tend to agree. Okay. Wow. We are a minute past our time here. So we will go ahead and wrap it up. We got some cool content coming up for you guys next week. Scott White is going to record. He's going to do a little after hours content with Brittany and myself, and we are going to talk about Final Fantasy VIII versus Final Fantasy IX and discuss the merits of both. And Derek, it looks like you were interested in that as well.
Maybe.
No, maybe you have to come.
Yeah,
as the resident Final Fantasy VIII stan, you have to come.
Derek, you kind of have to be there, man, because it's you and Scott for Final Fantasy VIII and me and Britt for Final Fantasy IX.
That's hard because I love Final Fantasy IX. I can't push for 8 over 9. I respect 8, but 9's a better game.
Well, 8's going to need a defender. Let's say that, because it's just Scott. It's just Scott. So yeah, Derek, you kind of have to.
9
be there.
is better.
Let's talk about Finn and getting Dying Light 2 and his first impressions of it and him going forward with it.
So right now, actually, on SoundCloud and Spotify and all major podcast services, Finn's initial impressions of Dying Light 2 are up. We got a review code, big get for us, and obviously we weren't able to get a review out, a full review out in time. It's a huge 500-hour game. If you do everything,
they came out and fixed that.
If you do everything,
I want Finn's word on the game length.
Yeah, so Finn will be.
Finn has a newborn baby, so him discussing whether or not the game is too long is
that's perfect.
Right.
So yeah, his initial thoughts are on all major podcast services right now, and we've got a new Dual Daddies going up this weekend as well. Me and Finn discussed the best gaming daddies. From Kratos to numerous others.
Only two straight white men would make a podcast about best gaming daddies.
You got to talk. Hey,
and
it's a podcast
and it be 0% sexual. What is wrong with you, men?
It is. Look, it's a podcast about two dads.
Derek, you and I could do that podcast.
We're gonna make a very different podcast about best video game daddies.
We need to have the counter version of best video game daddies.
We need the YouTube response video.
Oh, you absolutely! I would actually fucking love it if you guys did that. You absolutely should do that. Both of you should do that because it's going up. It's going up this weekend. It's going up this weekend. So I am expecting you guys to do that now. And of course, Rar, if we can get some Discord and store stuff and chat. We got a Discord. If you are in chat here and you are not a part of our Discord, please join the 350 something odd, very positive, very cool people in our Discord. We pride ourselves on positivity and inclusivity and mental well-being in games. Come in. Our Discord's always active, always a lot of people talking, and we always have a good time in there. We have what I consider to be the best community in the entire industry.
We have a really good Discord manager, and that is Rar. So
Rar
give a little shout out to
Rar is the Dumpson.
Rar and our other community managers like Pelnock and Dio and just like the whole team is just fucking great. And of course, we have a store where you can buy all kinds of cool shirts and hoodies and mugs from us, and all those proceeds go towards numerous different charities, be it Black Girls Code or the Trevor Project or TakeThis.org. So please look good and help out a good cause. That is all the time we have for tonight. Derek will go ahead and take us out of here. And remember, friends, kindness costs nothing. We will see you next week. Have a good weekend.